every single member of this institution, Democratic and Republican, should join us in condemning the president's racist tweets.
I request that the gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and request that it be taken down.
We don't ever want to pass up, it seems, an opportunity to escalate. And that's what this is. I'll dare anybody to look at any of the footage and see if there was any unfairness. But unfairness is not enough because we want to just fight. I abandon the chair.
That was powerful. Cleaver out. Missouri Democratic Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, a pastor by training, by the way, essentially saying the hell with it and all the tweet finger pointing on both sides. He was criticizing Democrats and Republicans. Congressman Cleaver joins us now. Sir, very good to have you.
Good to be with you.
What made you do that?
Well, Neil, I was frustrated. If you look at the footage, I had admonished both sides during this process. My goal was to get through this without adding any more tumult, without adding any more hostilities. And we were about 5 minutes through the whole process of the resolution condemning the president when a guy who's generally a very good guy, Congressman Collins, then moved to strike the last, moved to take down the words of the speaker. Now, the reason that became troubling to me is that because there was a point earlier where if I were to be an unfair person, I would have given a Congresswoman Jayapal, the same opportunity to take down the words of a Republican who had also violated the rules. Almost everybody who came up to speak violated the rules. I didn't allow it to go along because I thought, okay, we're not going to start a fight in here, and lo and behold, fight. So I didn't want to be involved in it and decided for my own mental health, I needed to get out of the chair.
Well, they continued fighting after you left, Congressman.
That is true.
So what did that?
True.
I don't mean to be dismissive. What did that prove?
No, you're absolutely right. It didn't stop. It continued on through the night. But at least I wasn't involved in it. And I think, Republicans and Democrats have been coming to me since this happened on both sides of the aisle, many on both sides of the aisle saying, you did the right thing, we appreciate what you did, and things have gotten out of control. So in some ways, what I did reminded a lot of the people, the good and decent people on both sides of the aisle, who said, this is what I didn't come here to fight. Now, to be fair and to be sure, there are people who want to fight, and I have had some of them to say, my constituents want me to come up here and fight. And I don't think those people are going to change no matter what. But there are some other people, I think, who, given the opportunity, would like to back away from all this hostility.
Did you have a chance, Congressman, to speak to Nancy Pelosi, what she thought of what you had to say?
I did. I went to both sides. I went over, talked to the Republicans right after I stepped down, and then I spoke to Nancy Pelosi when she returned. She wasn't in the chamber when that happened,
right.
But when she returned, I came back. She look. Let's be clear. Nancy Pelosi violated the House rules. There's no question about it, as did almost everybody else who spoke. But I was able to keep that from becoming riotous. So she and I had a conversation. She said, "Yeah, I violated the rules, and I wanted you to go ahead and go through the process." And I said, "I couldn't do it."
She said later on and today, sir, that, she was not calling the president, and this resolution was not calling the president racist, but his words were racist. So let me ask you, do you think the president is a racist?
Well, as I've said on your show before, I don't call people racist, even if I believe in my heart that they are, because once you do that, the dialogue is over, and so I'm not going to do that. What I will tell you is that the president does have a long and deep history of making racially insensitive comments. And there are a lot of people who would measure those things and say, well, if he's doing that as much as we have him on record doing, then there obviously is some racism there. I choose not to do it, and I didn't do it yesterday, and I'm not going to do it today. I think the president is doing enormous damage, however, to this whole country. We're being torn apart, and the question is for what?
So when you see those on your side of the aisle who have used the F word to describe the president or whatever, do you think that's fair? Do you think that the whole tone has gotten so debased that both parties are not serving the American people?
Well, yes, I do think that we, both sides, can get some manners and better display things for the public. But I do need to say that, think about, at the center of this is one man who continues to make these exotically nasty comments about people and groups. And look, when I was 13 years old, Percy Cleveland and I, who was 12 at the time, experienced a guy down in Texas, my hometown, jumping out of a pickup as we're walking to Jelanic Park to play baseball. You blanks need to get back to Africa. We ended up running through a little wooded area because he had a gun rack, and as we recall it, he went to the gun rack. I haven't told that story in years, and Percy probably hadn't told that story in years. But when I hear somebody say, go back to Africa, my mind inevitably and unavoidably goes back to that day, Percy and I walking to Jelanic Park from the public housing unit where we live. So the guy didn't do it because I was a good baseball player, because I was on I think my team was the Warhawks. I mean, he did it because we were black. And so to say that this man didn't think about race would be a lie.
But when you hear that kind of thing, I see where you're coming from. The president's people are saying, well, you might not like his words or tweets, but look at his actions. Look at what he's done for the African American community. The record low unemployment going on right now, improvement across the board for all Americans of all colors and stripes, and that does not really indicate the kind of things you say. You say?
I say that the economy is moving in that direction, and I'm glad the president didn't try to reverse anything that would hurt with great intentionality African Americans.
Well, he has improved it, though, right? I mean, you could argue about who gets credit, and it started on Barack Obama. I understand what you're saying. We've talked about this before, but he has dramatically improved that, and that if he were racist, he would not have allowed that to happen, right?
I don't know. We could argue about that,
no.
But I think it's like this. I was with some of my Jewish friends 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about issues of race. And so somebody said, well, maybe he's not racist, that he is really just a crude man. And this is one from his supporters. And I said, I wonder how you would have felt if you had turned on television and heard the president of the United States say, hey, look over there, there's my Jew. Well,
but some of your Democratic colleagues have taken a very tough stance against Israel and Jews. So
yeah, a few of them.
Do they go too far? Do they go too far?
Yes. Okay. Yes. As long as it's, criticizing Israeli policy shouldn't be a problem. But yes, if you're going to criticize Jewish people, you got a problem with me.
You're a good man. Both sides respect you. They can agree or disagree, but you're an honorable man. Congressman, Pastor, thank you very much.
On your House resolution condemning the president, were you surprised that more Republicans didn't side with Democrats? And what do you think, at the end of the day, was achieved, given that it was essentially a party line vote?
Well, the fact is that it was a resolution of the House and not some legislation that should go to the Senate or be signed by the president. And it was for us to say, and by the way, in the most gentle way. You have no idea the provisions that some people wanted to have in that resolution. This was as benign. It condemned the words of the president, not the president, but the words of the president. And in doing so, it anchored itself in the words of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, beautiful speech by Ronald Reagan, which I reference all the time. And so you would have thought that benign approach might have appealed to them. But when you say, were you surprised, were you disappointed, my expectations are not great, but you always hope that they might do the right thing and say that language that the president used was beneath the dignity of the president, beneath the dignity of the people he was criticizing. And by the way, we were offended that he spoke in such a way about members of Congress, but we're offended that he says that about people across the country all the time. Go back where you came from. And that by its definition, those words are racism. You go look in the AP and other places where they define certain words. That's what that is. But we weren't saying that he was racist. We were saying that the words that he used were racist. So that was as gentle as it could be, considering the inappropriateness and the disgusting nature of what the president said. So no, we did what our members wanted to do and had a very strong 100% vote on it.